The behaviors of and access to properties and methods are controlled by what are called attributes. These are specified in parentheses in the first line of any block. One important attribute is called access, and there are three different types. Public, which means it's possible to access from anywhere, and that's the default. Private, which means can only be accessed by methods in the class. And protected, which means you can only access by methods in the class or any of its subclasses if it has any. The attributes that control access to properties are getAccess, which gives you read access to the properties, and setAccess, which gives you write access to initialize or to modify the properties. Access gives you both read and write access. Now, if you're going to have different properties that have different attributes, you can define multiple property blocks. So for example, if you want some properties to be public and some properties to be private, then you use different property blocks for them. There are special access methods that allow you to query a property and to assign a value to a property. The names include the actual name of the property. So it's get.propertyName, whatever the property name is, or set.propertyName. Now when you use the methods functions, these do not show up in the methods list, but you can overload them. One reason in particular to overload the set.propertyName method is to allow error checking to make sure that only values of a certain type or range are being assigned. So this is actually really powerful and a really good reason for using a class, the fact that you can use the set.propertyName, overload that to error check and make sure that only the kinds of values that you want or the range that you want is allowed. Methods can also have access attributes, public, private, and protected, just like the properties. Other method attributes include abstract. If that's true, then there's no implementation of the method. Hidden. If that's true, the method is not seen in lists of methods. Sealed. If that's true, then the method cannot be redefined in a subclass. And static. Static's a little different. If that's true, the method is a static method, which means that it's not called by any particular object. Static methods are the same for all objects in the class. Events and listeners. So handle classes can have what's called an events block. Event-driven programming means when an event triggers an action. So an event can be something like clicking a mouse. A listener is something that detects the event and then initiates an action based on it. A callback function is a function that's called by the listener as a result of the event. There are two methods in handle class that are used with events. Notify, which notifies listeners when an event has actually occurred, and add listener, which adds a listener to an object so that it'll know when an event has occurred. We'll be talking a lot more about this when we get to GUIs, Graphical User Interface, and App Designer, and both of those use callbacks.